Hi guys, it's ArchieLuxury on the Paul Pluta channel. Today guys, I am doing a paid review. This is paid review 21QA130. This is from Stephen. It's a paid review. He wanted some advice. Very quickly, a quick wristwatch check. What am I wearing today? I'm wearing a Milgauss Z Blue. The Rolex Milgauss. What I love about this, the blue dial, the simple wind and wear, no date, just a very elegant watch, just to mellow on a weekend with. Okay, let's jump straight in here. This is for Stephen. Dear Paul, I've sent you some money via PayPal. I would like your opinion about purchasing a watch from Crown and Caliber. Crown and Caliber. Wow. Very interesting indeed there. Crown and Caliber. Good question there indeed. Crown and Caliber. Who is... Well, these are big wigs. These are quite a respected dealer of pre-owned watches, I suppose you could say that there. Hodinkee owns, after 8 years, Crown and Caliber has been acquired by Hodinkee. Hodinkee, the famous Ben Clymer, the vloggers, yes, Crown and Caliber. I'm currently interested in an Explorer 2 that appears to be fine, except for an overbuffed bezel. These bezels can be purchased OEM for $150 to $300 and replaced rather easily. He sent me a link to the listing. The price of $8,625 is far below other white dial Explorer 2s that do not have the overbuffed bezel. This piece just went up from $81.25. Okay, this particular Explorer is the 1 year from the Luminova before Super Luminova, and says Swiss only at the bottom of the dial. This 1 year is supposed to be more collectible. Do you think it's okay to buy with the intention of replacing the bezel with an OEM bezel at this price? Is it just always a bad idea to buy in the condition of an overbuffed original bezel? Thank you, Steve. Okay, so Steve's asking about this piece. So basically, it's a what is it? Early 2000s, 99 sort of genre of watch here. What is it? It's a 1999, okay. It's an A serial number. Okay. So the question is, what do I think of it, etc. Well, Crown and Caliber, I gotta be totally honest with you. Anything Hodinkee does is going to be overpriced. You know, I kind of like them. Like, they're not gonna rip you off and sell you garbage unless it's one of those Hodinkee clocks, but generally speaking, you're going to get reasonable fodder. The problem I have is $8,600 for an Explorer 2 with a over-polished bezel, no box or papers. I think it's kind of on the expensive side. You know, I don't think I would buy it. I mean, the problem is, it's easy to say it, you can just swap the bezel out. Well, go ahead and do it. Try and do it. And then the problem is, down the track, people will know. It might be pretty obvious down the track. See, at the moment, I can't tell the difference easily between a replaced bezel and an original bezel, but I'd be inclined to keep the original bezel. And down the track, people will say, "Oh, it's a service bezel. The font's slightly different, or this or that." I mean, they do really silly sort of things there. Explorer 2s have shot up. They definitely have shot up considerably. In fact, just looking at David SW there, they are quite expensive for the 40 mils there. So they have gone. They've gone. My honest opinion is I actually sold my Explorer 2 a couple of years ago for 9,500 Australian. Yes, that was, it was no papers with box. That was quite a reasonable price. It was a 2004 F serial number. It was in really sharp condition, really schmicko condition. What do I think? I've got to be totally honest with you. I think, in my opinion there, I don't know if I would be buying it with the bezel problem. See, if you're buying these things, I think it's never that easy. If it was only a matter of buying the bezel for, what did you say here, $300, you said $150. Well, you try finding one of these things for $150, and I don't think it's quite as easy as you say. So I got to be totally honest with you. If you're spending that sort of money, $8,600, I don't think I would buy it personally. And, you know, it's funny you say there. So the short answer is no, I wouldn't buy it. What's wrong with it? See, if you've got to do the legwork, you got to get the bezel changed, you got to do, it just becomes a headache. You're not getting it at a bargain price. You're paying the price for this flawed product. Normally when the bezel is scratched, it means the rest of it isn't brilliant either. So I don't like it. I don't like it. My Explorer 2, I've got the 42 mil. It's got a few scratches on the bezel. And I remember my mate who sold it to me said, "Oh, you can easily get the change for a couple $100 at Rolex." Well, that's actually $600. But then it becomes an issue. Well, hang on a minute. At the moment, I can't really tell the difference between the bezels, but there'll be some little thing that experts in 20 years' time will say, oh, it's a service bezel. It's been replaced, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of like the whole service. I think you're better off to stay with what's on it. I think that's a better way to go. So if it's not perfect, I have a pretty hard time paying big bucks for it there. Now, the other thing is, okay, so personally, you're spending a lot of money. I'm not sure. No, I wouldn't buy it. I think it's flawed, okay? It's got no papers, which I never used to think papers really were that important, but they're starting to become very important. You can put a box with it. The box isn't a drama, but it's just a hassle. It is an absolute hassle. So in my opinion there, personally, I don't think it's worth, I think get one that's correct. Now you're saying it's certainly a rare one. It's a Swiss. It's a luminova, not super luminova, and it's just after the tritium. You know what? There are so many little anomalies. I think the most valuable of the Explorer 2s, the 16570s, is probably the last of the last, which used the 3186 movement. That's probably the most valuable. Only way you can tell that is by getting a watchmaker to take the back off and seeing the movement number, the movement caliber on the movement itself there. So that's that. I think those are the most valuable. If I was buying an Explorer 2, you really want one for investment, I'd tend to want to get a complete one. I would want one that is nice condition, box papers, and that's the keeper. This seems to be a bit, it's over polished bezel, no papers. I think you got better off to put a bit more in and get a better one. Personally, if it was me, you want to buy an Explorer 2, I reckon the 16570, I'd get David SW's got one for just under 11,000. It's got a much sharper bezel. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than your bezel. And it is let me just check this here. It's box papers. It's black dial for just under 11. See, I'd rather buy that, because what happens is black or white dial, they kind of come in and out of popularity. When I bought mine, the whites were cheaper. Now the blacks, it's just crazy. So I reckon myself, would I buy it? No. Is it buying it from Crown and Caliber? It's not a bad place to buy from. The Houdinki, you know, they are, but they're so expensive. They are so expensive. So would I buy this watch? No. I reckon my view, just looking at David SW, yes, David SW sponsors me, but he's got one for 11, just under 11, a black dial, box papers. I'd much rather have that than your one. It's flawed with the bezel. It's never that easy, believe you me. It's never that easy to say it's just $150. That is. And then people down the track will know it's a service bezel. I don't think the Swiss only is that special. There's so many little anomalies. Then they had a situation where they had no Holes case with solid end links. There's so many little anomalies on them. I personally think if you're buying one, buy a beautiful example. Don't cut corners, no papers, and really scruffy bezel. Because if it had a scruffy bezel, it means the rest of it's possibly not that great either. So, to be honest with you, my own opinion is no. You're paying a lot of money. If it was that simple, why didn't they just change the bezel? Because it's a pain in the ass. It's not quite that simple. Yeah, so that's my opinion. No, I wouldn't buy it. I'd spend a bit more and get a really nice example. As I said, I'd get the black one, because the black one is a lot of bang. When I bought my Polar, they were cheaper. That's why I bought it. So I kind of think the blacks will come back. So I'd go for the underdog, but a box paper's in nicer condition. That's what I think the smarter thing to do is. So there you go. That's my advice. That is my advice on the matter. Let me know what you think. Put some comments below. Yeah, that's there you go. That's my opinion there. So guys, please remember, I can't survive on Google Ads. I need paid reviews, paid requests to keep me going. Without these paid reviews, I can't survive on YouTube. Guys, it's $50 US. PayPal me at ArchieLuxury72@gmail.com. Send the information of your collection or your question, and I will give you my opinion and tell you what I think. Guys, I will see you in the next one. Don't forget too, you can sponsor me on Patreon. Patreon allows you to pay a small amount of money every month to keep me full-time on YouTube. Patreon people get special tidbits from me. I'm accessible to my Patreons. See you in the next one. Hi guys, Archie Luxury, and who do I recommend in America? In America, who do I recommend for quality pre-owned wristwatches? David SW, David SW, David SW. Go to davidsw.com. He is the best, the greatest pre-owned dealer in all of the United States of America. David SW, David SW, David SW. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends, and don't be afraid to get a paid review. $50 for a paid review. It helps me stay full-time on YouTube, and I will see you in the next one. $50 paid review. I can't survive on Google Ads. I need your support. And guys, you could also sponsor me on Patreon. Patreon allows you to pay as little as $1 a month to keep me on YouTube. Hey guys, ArchieLuxury. Who do I recommend for watches in Brisbane and Sydney? Vintage Watch Co. That's correct. Vintage Watch Co. in Brisbane Arcade in Brisbane and the Strand Arcade in Sydney. Vintage Watch Co. Brisbane and Sydney. Ronnie, I've known him since the late 90s. Ronnie is a top bloke. Luke is a great guy. Vintage Watch Co. That is who I recommend in Australia. Check out Vintage Watch Co. and the guys' amazing range of watches. They also do service and repairs. Vintage Watch Co. That is where the Pontiff goes. You know, some of my Pateks came from Vintage Watch Co. That's right, guys. Vintage Watch Co.